Guys, welcome to Pretty Rich Podcast. Hey, before we start, I wanted to tell you about getpmuclients.com for you beauty entrepreneurs who are craving more clients, more business, more appointments in the books. I can't tell you enough about this free training that I have available on getpmuclients.com. If you want real results, real strategies, a no nonsense approach to getting more eyes on your business and more butts in the seats, you got to go to getpmuclients.com. Okay, guys. So today I have this incredible episode with my dear friend, Neeta Bhushan. That sucked. Now what? She just launched her book. For those of you who have said this several times, trust me, this is the place to be. This is the episode to watch because, as you guys know, in business building, we say that every day. Well, that sucked. Well, that sucked. But how many times do we actually say, now what? If you want the tools to help you build that resilience quality, you have to listen to this. You have to watch this. So make sure you stay all the way until the end. All right, you guys, have a beautiful day. And here is the podcast. Welcome to Pretty Rich Podcast. Neeta and I were just chatting. Oh my gosh, look at this branding and look at my office and look at we are meant to be friends. This is crazy. We got the pink, the teal, and the gold. What?
We're doing it. It's all of the things. Thank you for having me, love.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the title of Neeta's book is That Sucked, Now What, which is super appropriate for today's episode of Pretty Rich Podcast because we are doing a video recording of this. And Neeta has a beautiful office, a beautiful setup with similar colors and a professional microphone and everything. But Neeta, tell us what happened.
Oh yeah, I woke up without any power in our house. We're one of 4 houses actually. Well, now they say 60% of Austin doesn't have power. But yeah, so no power. I just happened to be on that grid and I had to say, well, how appropriate that this book just launched yesterday. And I'm like, okay, how to embrace the joy and chaos and find magic in the mess. Well, here we are in a corner of my little den in our bonus room. And one of my kids is sleeping. The other one is thankfully playing with his toys. And I'm in a crevice of a corner of a room with natural light because
because that sucked. Because that sucked. And now what? Guys, I am so excited to have my dear friend Neeta Bhushan on today. I cannot wait for you guys to get to know her. I have 3 copies of her book and I also have it on Audible. And it is just the best thing ever. The book that I wish that a lot of the people that are feeling stuck, or the people maybe that I'm working with that can't get past that grit phase, that can't seem to bounce back, right? Would read slowly and take every word in, because how many times have we said this sentence out loud? Like, that sucked. We say that out loud, but you know what we don't say out loud naturally is now what?
Nope. We don't say the now what part.
We don't. And I'm guessing everyone, especially if you own a business, has said that. We say that every day. And what if I told you that there's this beautiful human that I want to introduce you to that will give you the tools that you can access, that will propel you in a positive direction, that will help you bounce back from life's worst moments quickly and efficiently. And this book contains a tool that teaches you how to move through the sucky moments so you don't get lost in the victim mentality game of circumstance. And it will, guys, it's going to allow you to choose the story that you tell. And Neeta had just launched her fourth book, and I felt just like a true calling to share it with you today, because I know that many of you need to hear her healing words. And I, not just the book, but I feel a calling to share her heart with you guys today. So Dr. Bhushan is a mother, wife, entrepreneur, and performance coach to thousands. She is a former cosmetic dentist turned best-selling author, international speaker, social entrepreneur, mom hottie, an advocate for mental and emotional health, and a leadership coach. And I'm so excited because she's been hard at work writing her new book, That Sucked, Now What? So she's here today because she's officially launched her book, baby. And I really wanted to support her because I think her story is so worth telling and life-changing. Welcome, my dear friend Neeta. How are you?
Wow. Wow. What an intro, love. It is so good to be here. It is so good to sit with you and cozy on up. And we've been talking about this baby for a while. And so
You really have.
yes, it is out in the world. I'm truly so excited. It is already an award-winning book. It just won the Mom's Choice Awards, and it also won the Book Excellence Award. And it's just only out one day. It's also been already an Amazon bestseller in stress management. So everybody listening, watching this, it's definitely people have spoke. They said that this is definitely going to be best for stress management, and it has been definitely in my life for sure.
Wow, stress management. So when you hear that and you're like, wait, I wrote that. I wrote that. I help people manage their stress, which is like,
oh, I didn't know that.
Okay, like I did that, and it won an award for stress management, which is such a common problem. And how does that make you feel?
Oh my gosh, elated, excited. I mean, the other category we placed for number one is business motivation. And I'm just like, oh, I'm talking to the queen of business marketing and strategy. I'm like, I need to share this on her podcast because that came in and I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. So it's like, it's kind of rounding out. I think the phrase "that sucked, now what" has really just landed with so many people. And I was on, a different interview yesterday because I'm on this crazy book tour. And somebody said, well, who is this for? Who's it really, really for? And then he kind of like talked himself out of it. He's like, well, actually, this one's for everyone. But we can definitely go into different tangents. And I think, it's just speaking volumes because we got an award, Mom's Choice, but then we placed in, emotional intelligence category on Amazon, number one, as well as also in the business category. So it's interesting. And I think that it's really my hope and mission for the book always, even when we talked for the first time, I think it was like 5 years ago, I wasn't even pregnant with Ari, or maybe I just had Ari, right?
You just had Ari.
And I think it was just, this has been the mission to give people permission to suck, to not take their circumstances, their failures, or setback. Having myself owned a brick and mortar, building practice, and just to embrace the joy and chaos and find slivers of magic in sometimes our messiest moments that happen in life and in our businesses, with our colleagues, with our clients, and to surrender sometimes and have compassion with ourselves along the way.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful to have you join me here today. I'm just in love with your journey and messaging, but well, I mean, listen, if you've been following me long enough, you should know about Neeta because I'm obsessed with her. And just your resilience. I hope you've gone through a lot. I draw strength, like real strength in everyday situations from your story, in just like everyday situations. So guys, like this book is worth a look. If anything, it's on Amazon. It'll be there in 2 days. Like, go check it out. But for those that are watching and aren't aware of who you are and your backstory, Can you share with us the lowest, and the highest?
Oh, wow. Yes. So it's interesting. My lowest time and my highest time, and I've had many few high times, but it was kind of simultaneously happening at the same time. And I think, as business owners and as high achievers, or people who are kind of very much in attune with, goals and goal setting and being the best version of themselves, I think this would really resonate. But, 11 years ago, I literally found myself in probably, a very, very dark place. I thought I was reaching every pinnacle of success. I wasn't even 30 at this point, and I thought I had achieved kind of the dream of my parents. They were like championing me to be the, you know, um, doctor, dentist, lawyer, engineer, because, Filipino Indian immigrant parents, first generation.
Double whammy.
Double whammy, all of the things. And I had accomplished that. I was a cosmetic dentist. I had, purchased my own practice. I had doctors and hygienists and a whole team working with me. Um, and I was actually going through a very, very painful and really shameful time in my life. And there was a turning point in that time where I was literally, December 31st. It was very dramatic. I was in my bedroom. I looked at everything that I had accomplished, the big home, the fairy tale wedding, because I had just gotten married. And I was lost. I was confused. I was just mentally and spiritually and emotionally drained. And honestly, for the first time, I was looking at the mirror thinking, wow, I am in an abusive marriage. And like those words just fell out of my mouth.
Wow.
And tears literally are flowing, because I think for the longest time I was in such denial. And this particular night, things got so bad that I needed to make a decision. And that decision would forever change the course of my life. And that decision would be, oh shit, if I don't leave now, I think something bad might happen. And literally, I was just so I was so broken. I literally I was bursting at the seams, waiting for just the moment to be rescued, by Prince Charming, by all of the Cinderella stories and the Little Mermaid and all of those movies that we grew up watching. But I needed to rescue myself. No one was coming. I needed to make that decision to leave. And it took so much courage. It took so much bravery, because I would then end up confiding in two very, very special people in my life. And in that time period, I would pack whatever I could, leave. And in the next coming weeks, I would get a restraining order, stand before a judge, really kind of step into my power and truth for the very, very first time. And this would begin my healing journey over the next 7 years. Now, what I'm not telling you is that all of that needed to happen, because the decade before the December 31st was really when I had some of the deep, dark moments that I just didn't know I was really growing up in so much chaos and so much messiness, that I tried to literally create with accolades and achievements and to-dos and performance, and outwardly making sure everyone was feeling okay. But truthfully, I had gone through the depths of grief and loss. I lost my mom, my brother, and my dad before I was 19. All to medical.
In the span of what? In the span of what? Was it 4 years? 4 years?
Yeah, it was 4 years. It was 4 years. It was really the toughest years of my life. I mean, and you don't realize that when you're kind of growing up in it. You're just like, all right, this is happening. Oh shit, everyone around me is dying. Like, can I even trust life? Can I even trust? Can
Oxygen.
I? Yeah, and can I even just like like, what is going on? Is there even a God? Is there even source? Is there even
Yeah.
like, does that even exist? I mean, I was so lost. And so I put all of my overcompensation, my coping mechanism became overworking, overdoing to get out of this dark cloud that I
We
was.
do that. We do that.
Yeah, we do that. We do that. And I think that, pick your poison. That was mine. I know that, and that's why I talk about all of the tools that I had to go through to face my dark demons, to face some of the really tough emotions that I was hiding, I was burying underneath, um, in so many ways, because I didn't know how to actually cope. Growing up, I was in survival mode. So my highest high when my dental practice was, at seven figures, I wasn't even 30 years old at this point. I thought I was going to gain this validation and recognition from the spirits of my parents. And I realized that was really what was pushing me and moving me forward. But I had to actually break down December 31st to finally say, hey, I need help. I can't do this on my own. I I actually need support. And that would then shift and turn just everything in my life, from my leadership to allowing people in, and to really say, actually, I can't do this today, or I can't keep my office open. Or I remember very vividly the very first time that I came like fully clean and open in terms of what was really happening behind closed doors was, a few days after I got my restraining order. I came into my office that I owned, with all of my bags from my big home that I left in my fancy SUV, that I was so ashamed to go inside and face my team members who looked to me for support, who looked to me for strength, and say,
Yeah.
I'm actually going through the worst time right now. And I don't know if I can keep the doors open. You can leave if you want. I don't even know if I can do this right
Was
now, but
was
this
that
is where I am.
liberating though? What
Oh my God.
oh my gosh, hold on a second. Isn't that every business owner's like worst nightmare? The day that you had to say that, was that like, that is a lot of people that might be listening to this might be going through that. They might think that they're like a week away from that, 2 months away from that, but like it is looming. That is like that seems like the worst day ever, like for a lot of people listening. And for me, what did that feel like when you said it? And was there any like liberating thing about actually just letting it out?
Man, it
Or
was,
was it as embarrassing as we all fantasize it to be?
well, going in that day, I just had so much anxiety. I had so much, I literally almost had a panic attack, because I would cry in the parking lot, and I would just grieve and just say, like, where am I? Like, what friend am I going to sleep on their couch today? Because things were just so, it was such a dark night of many, many weeks. And I remember walking in that particular day, and I had my little lab coat on, my glasses on, and we had a full, of course, with your lowest low, we were also really busy in that time. It was January. It was right after the holidays. And I remember we had patients in all of the chairs with the suction going. I couldn't concentrate, tears were streaming down my face.
Oh my gosh.
Got up, and I we had like a little monitor that connected all of the rooms. And I'm like, I need everybody in the lunchroom right now. It's a tiny little break room. And they're like, what is she doing? Like, we're in the middle. We're like running late right now. And I'm like, listen, I need to tell you guys something. I can't wait. And I just like blurted it out. I said, I am going through a really dark time, and I need your help. And I don't even know if these doors are going to be open next week, next month, because I have no idea where I'm even going to live. And so, and in that moment, it was like just like waterworks, dry heaving, finally allowing people to just see me break down fully in the rawest,
Whoa,
like
whoa,
crazy cry.
whoa. I don't, oh my God. gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that fully shifted, because in that moment, everyone's like, no, you can sleep at my house. No, I got this. You take the time you need. Let's cover for you here. What can we do? Everyone fully stepped up. And there were a few people who actually left me that day. For whatever reason, they left me that day. And I was okay with that. I was okay to rebuild, because from that day forward, everything shifted. The way that I dressed to the office shifted, the way that I led shifted, the way that we played music shifted, my entire leadership style shifted, because I led
Mama,
with vulnerability.
Mama,
Yes, my love.
I found this under the couch.
Well, thank you so much. And Mama's on a call right now. Okay.
That is amazing. And so something I've heard before is like, the more years you have in business in a position of power, I suppose you can say, for lack of a better term, the more you realize like who is really there for you, like who are the people that choose to stand in the rain when they could be dry. Like they could step aside and be dry and be comfortable, but then you'll never forget the people that really were uncomfortable, even if they didn't need to be. And those are the people that I'm like, oh, you are forever a friend, because, no matter how much success you have, you're still human. And so, that it's not just about money, right? It's not just about that. Like, in life, we need our partners, we need our community, we need those souls we can really count on. And then so because I feel so grateful to those people that have been there for me, that did come stand in the rain when they could be dry, like I always go back to them, no matter what season I am in life, because I think that trust, that loyalty is so invaluable. And that's why I consider my first tier, like no matter what, so I'm glad that some people were really there for you. And, it sounds funny, but I'm also glad some people left and show their true colors right away. We're only there for a paycheck. And I know a lot of business owners who are listening to this right now can probably relate to that. I'm really glad you have that too, because it does, when people show their true colors, it's like, for me, for you, somebody who's like been through a lot, it's like, come on, guys, let's skip to the end. Like, who are you? Like, just tell me now who you are. Just tell me now. It's like,
show me those colors.
Just tell me now. Just tell me now. Let's skip to the end. Let's like fast forward. Let me tell you my actual beliefs and who I actually am. And if you don't like it, please, let's just skip to the end. Let's not prolong this pain, this fakeness any longer. So, for you, I love that element of it, but obviously like it was so painful, and my heart aches for you. So I wanted to read a quote, actually, or an excerpt from this book that really got to me. And it was on the subject of entitlement. I also, want to challenge all of our listeners today, and let's think about, when have we embodied the same sentiment, these same characteristics? Because let's face it, we all have. We all have. So it's page 39, entitlement. Entitlement, because you deserve so much better. We've worked hard. We've been through so much. We gave it our all. We deserve this. We shouldn't have to go through this. It may seem counterintuitive that feeling entitled and feeling victimized are two sides of the same coin. Both mindsets imply that you are uniquely and extremely deserving, either deserving of pity or deserving of praise. And neither mindset considers the impact on anyone else. So, what inspired this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What inspired this section?
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a lot. There are stories in this chapter alone that are drawn from some of the clients that I've worked with. And I think a lot of times and not just the clients that I've worked with, but also as a business owner, people that I've had that have come in my path that just kind of want they're entitled for their role. They're entitled because something bad happened to them. Something actually, didn't go their way. So they are so deserving of that promotion or that thing, or the fact that they are like your super fan or whatever else. And we see this as business owners. And I wanted to draw context to entitlement because, it comes from a place of lack at the end of the day. And I wanted to draw a distinction between, this entitlement culture and of deserving and manifestation. And, we talk a lot about the law of attraction and manifestation. I'm just going to manifest my next, my great life and all of these things, which is amazing. And I think also to put it in the book around how many times if we don't really get what we think we deserve, we go into our victim spiral. We go into our victim mentality. And I wanted to distinguish both of those because both of those are rooted in lack, in a sense of lack, that there's not enough for everybody. Therefore, I'm going to hoard. Therefore, I am just not going to share. Therefore, I am going to compete hardcore because there's not enough room for all of us at the top. And, we see this many times. I think women have, this sometimes even against each other. I know I've seen that with clients when I used to do one-on-ones, when I used to actually do business trainings, and to actually, share the distinction in which many times people don't necessarily care about your story. They care about how you're going to actually impact them, like what's in it for them. And it's one of the things that, I've always loved when I was building my leadership skills in terms of, what qualifies to be a really good leader. And this obviously goes back to the time when I was very insecure as a leader in my first company, in my first business. And it kind of went hand in hand because I was not very secure in my personal relationships. And so that would then spill out over into my professional relationships. And that's why I really loved this chapter so much, because we get into the dirty, we get into the nitty gritty of why entitlement can sometimes hold us back.
So, the competition thing, I want to go back to that, the competition thing, because like, especially as an entrepreneur, as female entrepreneurs, I completely understand why competition can be seen as like an edge, or it's like a healthy thing, or as not just a healthy thing. How about for the woman that's saying, you don't understand, Nita, you don't understand, Sheila, like if this person succeeds, I am truly toast. Like it is my, because this was what it was me. My family's not going to eat, essentially. Like if my competitor, who's the only other microblader in my town, succeeds, like that's it for me. So, I actually talked about this on my podcast yesterday because I used to feel the same way, but like, what would you say to that person who really believes that it truly is competitive and the stakes are high and it will truly affect their bottom line?
Yeah, I think that it comes the root. If we are just paying attention to where the root is there's three fear cultures, right? It's either I'm not good enough, there isn't enough, or I am not enough. And if we're coming and leading with, okay, there isn't enough for everybody, well, yeah, I'm going to be competitive as heck. And knowing where that root is and making peace with it and saying, okay, well, is that actually really true? Is that belief system really going to run my way of of dealing with building a practice that is sustainable, that is going to put food on the table, that maybe I can actually pull from and be resourceful. If I am just the only microblader in town, what else can I do? How else can I distinguish my services so that I can add so much value that people would love coming to me, and combine forces with some of the other people in town, so that in case, hey, a true leader, the hallmark of a true leader would say, how can we collaborate so that if there are certain cases that you want to do versus that I don't want to do, and I did this all day long when I was building mine, and when I taught other people how to do that for themselves, is make friends with people outside of your industry so that you are, and I'm sure you share this as well, so that we are not coming from a place of lack. We're not coming from a place of, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, I'm not going to be able to bring food on the table. Well, if you are a business leader, you are going to be resourceful and figure it out anyways, because you are so smart, you are so talented. But coming from that root of fear, and if that is the leading edge of how you're going to be driving business, then you're going to make pretty bad business decisions just based on a lack of fear that there's not going to be enough for everyone on the table. And that's a specific mindset then, of course, that needs to change. But it is human at the end of the day. It's human to think that and to operate from this sense of fear. It takes real, true vulnerability to say, okay, here are my fears, but why do I feel that way? In the second part of the book, I do talk about a concept called your bounce factor. Well, what I was just finishing up is, there's a part of my book called, the second part of my book called the bounce factor. We're actually looking into one piece of this to see where the root of our fear of lack is coming from. Well, how did we grow up? Did we grow up to think that, well, our money mindset, or our mindset around money, our relationship around money, our relationship around our worth was dictated at the dinner table around our family members? How did they view money? How did they view us speaking our truth? How did they view our assertion or our leadership? Were we taught to be, confident and roll after things don't go our way? Or were we put down quite a bit? And so that could actually affect how we then relate when we are in business and we feel like we're entitled to certain things, but it's actually coming from, an unhealthy place versus from a place of, abundance, and versus from a place of desire and impact and true wealth is really what it boils down to. But it actually takes a mindset shift to lean into that. And the mindset shift usually starts with, well, let's lean into the feelings of discomfort and in being uncomfortable in those feelings, so that we can make different choices and lean into our creative parts of ourselves and get curious around that part of ourselves that maybe feels that we're like operating in a lack.
Yeah. So get curious, first of all. And I love that you broke it down to 3 different types of fears when you're feeling this, like when you suspect that you might have this unhealthy competition or scarcity mentality. And that comes up for a lot of people. So is it truly that there isn't enough? Is there truly isn't enough? Is that true? Is that true? Number 2 is I'm not good enough. Is it true that you're not good enough? And what's the third thing again, Nita?
There is not enough. I am not enough. The thing that I'm working on, the business that I'm working on, this isn't enough.
The business isn't enough.
And
I see.
and there isn't. And there is not enough. There's not enough clients. So I am not enough. The first fear culture, and this business is not enough. I have to keep doing more. I have to keep doing more. I have to keep doing more certifications, more trainings, more, et cetera, because what I have right now isn't enough to offer people, or there is not enough to go around. There's not enough clients to go around.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with this. I am truly obsessed with this. I'm probably going to like refer to it. There's 3 fear cultures that Neeta Bhushan talks about. So because I really think that every time we're in a place of scarcity or a place of anxiety, like let's look at these 3 things. Is it there truly isn't enough? I'm not good enough, or the business isn't enough. And the only answer I can like, honestly, like after like doing, the inner work and like looking into it and like figuring out what is the root of all of this, which is one of those 3 things, or maybe a combination of those 3 things, is just to get better.
Yeah.
Get better. So is it that you need to be better? You can get better. And it's about that growth mindset, right? You're like, oh, I can get, it's not fixed. You're not fixed. You can get better. The business isn't good enough. Oh, well, make the business better, make your offerings better. There truly isn't enough. You can. So let's say there's like, I understand, like there's some people who are listening to this that I'm like, listen, Sheila, there's only like 25 girls in my town and they all go to me for hair. Okay. Like I'm in a small town. That's just it. And I love, Neeta, that you gave us the guidance to get creative and to innovate. And something that I said yesterday when we were on the same topic is get creative, figure out a way to make your competitors your customers. You know the market better than anybody. You know the market better than, than anyone who would create something for them, because you are literally their direct competitor. You know what their challenges are. So create something that they could use and make them your customer. It could be a booking system. It could be a product. It could be a coaching program, whatever it is. And I think it is just in general, just get better, whatever that looks like, but just get better,
Yeah. And that's where the resourcefulness comes in. That's where the creativity comes in. That's where really studying, which is what you do so well, it's studying the habits, it's studying what the gaps are, and but also really bringing it back to yourself and really making peace with, okay, you tried a few things, but if those 3 fear cultures are starting to bop its head up, where does that entitlement, come in? And that's the leadership, is the truest form of that is your radical self reflection, your radical self-awareness, to be so in tune with how you show up as a leader, how you show up during crisis, how you show up to your team. And it's not going to be during the really fun, amazing money-making days. It's going to be through the crisis, through the storm, through some of the things that don't necessarily go our way.
Will and I don't want to raise adults. We have 3 boys, 1, 5, and 8. We don't want to raise, sons who are in a constant state of victim mentality. And so, our Roosh family motto, as you guys know, is I can do hard things. And so I do think there is this resilience mentality building from an early age. Listen, this is my first time being a parent of 3 sons, so I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So I suspect that, that your mind is like a muscle, right? Or it's like you can build a callus around it. And so we do little things that are hard, that are, somewhat bearable for their age, so that as they grow up, they have this like resilience callus almost. So like we do things like ice baths, we do physical activities like running a mile under 10 minutes, et cetera, et cetera. So, we have these like little challenges. And I tell my boys, I'm like, listen, ice bath, which is like 2.5 minutes of ice bath, it's the same as homework. It's the same as math homework or long division. It is literally, you're activating the same muscles. And so the reason why I like ice bath, did one this morning, is it just preps you for the day. Like I've already conquered the first challenge of the day, aside from all the other health benefits. And it is noticeable for me, arguably, whatever your belief is. But the biggest benefit for me is that resilience training, that mental training, and that discipline, because you do not want to get in that water. You don't want to
Never
do it. You never do. And even while you're in it, you're literally questioning, why am I doing this voluntarily? And I really think that it's all the same with Bo. I'm like, why, while you're doing the math homework, I'm like, why am I, you're literally in pain. when you're doing the content for social media, if that's your weakness, it's like, why am I doing it? If you're going through sales calls, you're just like, what? It's like, it's all the same. It's like resilience training. So it's a lot harder to learn that as an adult, as a child, I think. So the earlier you start, the better. And I know you have two beautiful children, and you're are just like a couple goals, right? So I want to know, like, what strategies do you guys use or intend to use maybe when your kids get a little bit older so they can thrive through difficult times?
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that you guys are already doing like tiny little increments of resilience building with the fam, because I definitely talk about the whole cold plunge and cold showers. And yeah, it's something that we don't like. But if we actually go into, habit creation and even thinking what resilience actually means, because I think, yes, there's definitely the component of mental toughness, but and that's what we all have grown up with, resiliency as mental toughness, even myself. But like the real reason why I wrote this book was to also add in the duality of what the opposite of that could actually mean. In resilience, if we actually take the root word of resiliere from Latin, means to bounce, literally means to bounce. And so
Wow.
to take yeah, I mean, just like
Wow.
tune into that for a second, because if you think of anything that bounces, like a basketball versus a glass, or a piece of granite, you let that piece of granite go. That granite is hard, it's tough, it's all of these things. Well, that granite's going to shatter and break into a million pieces. But if you take a basketball, there's a little bit of give to it. There's a little bit of flexibility. There's a little bit of softness to it. There's a little bit of agility, so that ball can actually bounce. And if we kind of think about it in our own lives as metaphors, well, we can't be rigid in how we are relating to our kids, or even teaching and passing some of the things that we are doing down to them. There has to be a little bit of a give. There has to be a little bit of compassion for ourselves when we do not get that goal or didn't make the team, and to actually celebrate the fact that, yeah, all right, that sucked. Now what? Celebrating our suckiness, and also inviting ourselves to be a beginner again, to be okay at sucking at something new. And that's one of the things I actually write about in the book. The second pillar of building your bounce factor is, how are we exposing ourselves to good stress? And you've already shared a few, like the ice bath. That's definitely an example of good stress. And what tends to happen over time, as scientists kind of talked about this, is we're slowly micro introducing different changes, even in our brain patterns, even in our DNA, so that we are more exposed to some of these things, like going outside in the cold, as I'm looking at the icicles outside right now. But we're actually starting to build that automatic resiliency. And the thing that I love and I'm so excited to talk about so much is even that emotional resiliency. Like, how are we actually sitting in the discomfort of our feelings? And this is a big one that I'm now starting to do with our kids is, okay, if you've got a big feeling, feel it. I'm going to allow you to feel it. I want you to be with it, sit with it. It sucked. Yeah, let's moan, let's groan, let's cry, let's scream, let's let it out, and let's not keep it inside. But that is an act. It is a muscle that we have to build, because I don't like anybody crying in the house either. But you know what? I have to be okay as well with my own tears. I have to be okay when I am feeling rageful and angry because things didn't go my way. But to give ourselves the space and the breathing room to make room for those feelings that so many times we want to just get over and go over so fast.
Okay, that one. Oh, hey, sorry. I'm just doing some content. By the way, do you want to grow your gram? I have the perfect resource for you. All my proven strategies of how to grow your Instagram for more clients and more bookings. Just click the link below in the description box to find out more.
Yes.
Okay, so make room for those feelings that we just want to get over was the last thing I heard.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I love that. Make room for the feelings you want to get over. Like, invite them to the table.
Bring it all to the table.
Neeta, thank you so much for joining me today. It means the world to me that you're here. And it means your friendship means a lot to me. Means a lot to me. It's a lot, it's really healing in a lot of ways because most people, I don't know, you just see the heart. Well, especially in this industry, don't take me seriously until they hear what I've accomplished or like, what size business I have and stuff. And so I'm still working that out with my therapist that is not my worth. That is not the thing that, like I need to keep saying to like prove myself. But a lot of beauty business owners, and I know y'all can like relate to this, you're the dark horse. Nobody saw you coming. Your family still probably thinks you have like a rinky dinky business that makes $30,000 a year. And you know, it's a lot bigger than that. You're in charge of a lot more lives than that. You know that, when shit hits the fan, you're going to be that family member that's going to provide for, the needy in your family. So, but, you don't necessarily say that every day, but yeah, I'm sure like, like myself, it takes a toll on you to like be successful in silence. Especially when you have such a past of people not taking you seriously and having it be hurtful, or people not taking your success seriously. So Neeta, thank you so much, because guys, I just want you guys to know I met Neeta at a party. Um, who knows what crazy, shiny people were there, but Neeta saw me. Neeta looked me in the eye and said, I see you, and invited me to brunch. And I was so honored, so happy, and I'm so grateful. And also I wanted to encourage you guys that might be going through this, that your looks, let's say, we're all beauty junkies, right? Your excessive makeup, your wigs, your all the time changing hairstyles and outfits, I consider a filter. You like what you like. That's why I relate to Dolly Parton a lot, because it's like, if you're going to judge me at first sight, good. Because just like what I was saying earlier in this podcast, like, let's skip to the end. Tell me who you are right now. Tell me who you are right now so I don't invest. Like if I walked around looking like this, like demure little, like homely person, I wouldn't have the benefit of skipping to the end, because I know who I am on the inside, and I'm an ostentatious, makeup wearing, wig wearing, loudmouth, fabulous hooker whore, right? So, and I'm happy that way. I love colors. I love artistry. I see fashion and makeup like, a form of self-expression. And anybody who judges me, I think it's just so amazing. Now that I'm older, I realize it's just a filter. It's just a filter. And let's just skip to the end. Are you going to judge me and miss out on all of the amazing things that I am and all of the ways I can be there for you, or not? And if you judge me now, good. So Neeta, thank you for
Thank you so much, Queen. I've got to run, and it was so amazing. And I love our friendship, and I love our families. And you've just been blossoming in so many ways. And I'm so glad that we can talk about all of our sucky moments and celebrate them together.
Yes.
I love you.
Guys, grab this on Amazon. Is that the best place to get it?
Grab it on Amazon. Grab it. thatsuckednowwhat.com. Absolutely. Go ahead. Get one for your friend. Get one for your team members.
Yes.
This is the book that you definitely don't want to miss out on. I love you.
Absolutely. Love you guys. All right.